Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, presented by the Business Courier. Tough times for a tough sport. Where have all the golf courses gone? A new place to eat and drink, healthy and local, in Mount Adams. And it could be a business match made in heaven. Video games and beer. U.S. Bank Business Watch is next. Good morning and welcome to U.S. Bank Business Watch. I'm Peg Rasconi. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, has time passed for a great American pastime? Golf is becoming a fading game. Fewer people are playing fewer rounds of golf, and that means trouble for local fairways. Consider this: more golf courses in Cincinnati have closed in the past year than in the prior 10 years combined. Hamilton County, which runs 7 courses, has seen the number of rounds played drop 17% since 2009. The city of Cincinnati's 6 courses have seen play decline by the same amount. The story is similar everywhere, from privately owned public courses to the top country clubs. Many owners are saying the sport has run its course and are looking for other uses for the land. And with the local home market heating up, developers are taking note. Business Courier reporters Steve Watkins and Tom Demeropoulos reported this story, and Steve joins us this morning to talk about this surprising trend. He's with Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio. Steve and Kelly.
Thanks, Peg. This is kind of hard news to hear. You're a big golfer.
I am.
Peg's husband's a big golfer. We've got lots of big golfers all over this place. Oh, why is this happening?
Yeah, where are our brethren, huh? I mean, I guess it's easier for us to get on the course. Well, it really comes down to 3 things. It's time, difficulty, and cost. And of those 3, I think really time is the biggest factor. I mean, none of these things have really changed over the years, but it's all relative. So people have a lot less time than they used to.
Yeah.
And I talked to one golfer, a really big-time golfer, Peter McColgan. He won the city championship back in the 90s. He used to play 4 times a week. Now he's got 2 kids. He plays twice a month. And you multiply that by a lot of people, and you know, people just don't have the time to play like they used to.
Yeah, that's a big commitment to make on a Saturday or an evening or whenever. So as business owners, what are these golf course owners doing to try to, are they trying to stop this trend?
Yeah, and they're trying to deal with it in different ways. One is what you might call gimmicks. I mean, they're trying things like fewer holes. You can pay at some courses now for 4, 5, or 6 hole rounds instead of 9 or 18. Obviously, it saves time and it saves a little bit of money. And then some are trying really gimmicky things like bigger holes on the green. Makes the game a lot easier and a lot faster. And then there are things even like foot golf, which is playing soccer on a golf course and have a hole that's fit for a soccer ball. But then the head of the Greater Cincinnati Golf Association is really concerned that some of the traditional golfers might get a little alienated by these things, so they have to kind of strike a balance.
Yeah, you don't want it to be too gimmicky. So one of the other interesting things in the story was that the land that the golf courses are on, that's an alternative for owners, I mean, to sell the land. And with the housing market so hot, is that something that's happening? They're just selling off the land to do other things?
Absolutely. That's what a lot of them are doing, is they're deciding, hey, we're not making any money on this. The land value is going up, especially since the recession several years ago, and housing is starting to pick up. So a lot of them are selling for housing developments. You know, you got a lot of unused space. In some areas, it's about the only undeveloped space if you get rid of the golf course.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ironic. Years ago, the big thing was to build houses around a golf course. Now they're plowing up the golf course and putting houses there. The people aren't golfing, so they don't care about being near it. So yeah, it's an interesting trend.
Yeah, it really is. Well, thanks, Stephen, and be sure to read the story. There's a lot more great information in the story. And Peg, break this news to Dan gently.
Yeah, I'm not sure he knows. It's alive and well in our household. Thanks, Kelly and Steve. Great reporting as always. Well, popular retirement community Maple Knoll Village is located across from Glenview Golf Course in Springdale, and residents consider it a perk. Sometimes Maple Knoll CEO Jim Formal plays with residents. Maple Knoll Village encompasses more than 54 acres and serves as home for 640 people in 268 independent living units. In addition to its access to a golf course, Maple Knoll has some other pretty unique features.
So I believe we're the only retirement community organization in the country that has its own licensed FM radio station. We also have physicians on staff here 5 days a week. We have a Montessori school, so our residents get to participate in teaching the preschool children. So that's something that's very unique that most don't have.
The facility ranks number 3 on the Business Courier's list of largest retirement communities. Hamilton County could save nearly $70 million over the next 2 decades if it sells some buildings and renovates another. The scenario could mean selling 2 iconic county buildings, the Alms and Depke building on Central Parkway and the County Administration building on Court Street. It also calls for renovating Mercy Health's shuttered Mount Airy Hospital and moving some county government services there. The need to re-examine the county space stems from a 26% reduction in county employees over the last 7 years. The result is a significant amount of inefficiently used space. The specialty chemical company owned by University of Cincinnati basketball legend Oscar Robertson is rebounding and about to begin playing on a new home court. Orchem has had a rough couple of years. In 2012, Robertson was facing foreclosure on the company's headquarters in Fairfield. To get things going in the right direction, Orchem sold its headquarters, brought in a new general manager, and is getting help from the Cincinnati USA Regional Chamber's Minority Business Accelerator. The company has also relocated to this building on Beach Street in Norwood. LSI Industries, which designs and manufactures lighting and graphic products, has hired a new chief operating officer. Dennis Wells was hired as COO and is being groomed by the current CEO to take over that position in 6 months. Wells competed against LSI in previous jobs with 2 other companies before joining LSI this month. He says he's impressed with LSI's people and manufacturing capabilities.
From fabrication to assembly to engineering, these products are designed and manufactured here in the USA. As I've traveled to the factories and met the people there, I'm extremely impressed with our deep capabilities to manufacture light fixtures.
Wells says the future of the company is focused on LED lighting. TriHealth plans to freeze the pensions of those on staff who are eligible for one. TriHealth has nearly 12,000 employees and operates 4 hospitals in greater Cincinnati. Employees were recently informed in a letter that as of January 1st, TriHealth will freeze pension contributions but will increase its employer contributions to 401k retirement savings plans. TriHealth is the 5th largest employer in greater Cincinnati, just below Procter & Gamble. Late last week, it was announced that the boards of directors for the McCullough Hyde Memorial Hospital have approved a letter of intent that will give TriHealth majority ownership of that Oxford-based hospital. Well, there's a healthy new place to eat and drink in Mount Adams. Sprout Market and Eatery opened its doors last week on St. Gregory Street.
Everything that we're doing in here is focus on local. So market, food, local, all the wine, organic beer, local, musicians, everything and everyone in this place.
In addition to the market and restaurant upstairs, Roots Underground Lounge is also open in the basement of the building. It includes 14 taps with local beer and will offer live music on the weekends. So what do you get when you combine beer and video games? The owners of a Forest Fair video game arcade are hoping they get a successful business. Arcade Legacy Bar Edition is a new concept going into the old Alchemy spot in Northside that combines beer and video games.
You won't have to pay for any of the games. You just come in, eat, drink, patronize the business, and play games all night long.
The cuisine is going to be some laid-back hand type of foods, mainly hot dogs, but with more of a gourmet spin on them. Something that adults can appreciate.
Arcade Legacy in Northside will open early next year with 40 arcade games and 5 pinball machines. Games will include classic 80s and 90s arcade games such as Ms. Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and old school consoles like Super Nintendo and the N64. Well, up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, our hottest web stories of the week. The verdict is in on the Tracy Hunter trial. And a bird's eye view of growth at the Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Some news that's getting a lot of attention on the Business Courier website and social media sites. A Hamilton County jury found suspended juvenile court judge Tracy Hunter guilty of one of the 9 felony counts against her, but could not agree on the rest. The jury found her guilty of having unlawful interest in a public contract. The count involved accusations she used her authority to get the medical records of an inmate. Her brother, a former corrections officer, was fired for punching that inmate. Judge Norbert Nadel set a sentencing date for December 2nd. The former Champion paper plant property in Hamilton could be transformed into a $30 million sports complex. An industrial scrap and salvage company purchased the former manufacturing facility in 2012. 2 national feasibility firms are now studying the site to see if it could be home to a large-scale sports complex that would include things like an indoor track and field, baseball and soccer fields, volleyball and basketball courts, and tennis courts. The University of Cincinnati's renovated football home is starting to take shape. Nippert Stadium looks like it'll be ready in August 2015, right on schedule. Work began last December on the project. Changes to the 90-year-old stadium should lift seating capacity to about 40,000 and add suites, club seats, a new press box, and expanded restrooms and concession areas. This new video taken by a drone aircraft flying over the Butler County campus of Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center puts into perspective the enormity of 2 construction projects that will expand the campus. They will cost a total of $162 million and eventually create 300 full-time jobs in Liberty Township. The Avondale-based hospital opened in the Liberty campus in 2008 and now has 450 employees there. Well, as you may have noticed, gas prices have been falling recently. It's happening not just here at home, but also overseas. And in this morning's U.S. Bank Economic 360, Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith talks with U.S. Bank Vice President and Senior Portfolio Manager Mike Denneman for perspective on this trend that will hopefully continue. Mike and Jamie.
Thanks, Peg. Mike, thanks for being here today.
Good morning.
So let's talk about this. Gas prices dropping pretty steeply. Why?
Steeply and quickly, too.
Yeah.
If we look at the national average this past week, gas was at $3.15 a gallon, which is down considerably from where it was. And just a few months ago, we had gas up near $4 a gallon. We all remember that this past summer. So it's come down quickly. It's come down pretty dramatically, and it's a trend that's likely to continue as well. We continue to see gasoline futures on the commodity market fall further, and analysts are predicting that it could be another 15 or 20 cents to the downside.
Really?
So it might not be long before we're seeing gas below $3 across the country. So this is not uncommon for the price to fall once we get past Labor Day and the peak summer driving season. So the gas falling is not what's surprising, but the fact that it's come down so far so quickly has caught a lot of people off guard.
Okay. Is there any significant reasons why?
Well, we can pin most of the blame, if blame's the right word, on the price of oil.
Okay.
And right now, much like we saw with the price of gas, the price of oil has pretty much fallen off a cliff. Just a month or so ago, it was about $110 a barrel. Now it's trading at roughly $80 a barrel. So that's a sharp decline as well. And most of that is wrapped up in just the global supply and demand. On the supply side, there's a glut of oil out there. Right now we're producing far more in the U.S. than we have in recent decades. Our imports are at near historic lows since the 1970s. Most of that's due to the hydraulic fracturing and the natural gas and the oil we're producing here at home. Then on the supply side, there's a lot of worries out there right now about an economic slowdown in China and in the Eurozone. So globally, it's anticipated that we'll use a lot less oil in the next 12 months. So we've got supply rising, we've got demand falling, and the combination of those two lead to oil prices dipping pretty significantly.
Well, typically when we talk and you talk about numbers going down, it's always iffy. Is it a good thing for the consumer or is it not a good thing for the consumer? Obviously, lower prices is good for the consumer, but is it good for everything?
Yeah. So really, we're going to see this have a ripple effect across the entire economy. For the consumer, indirectly, well, oil is a key component of just about everything that we do in our economy. Rather, if it's a input is in terms of raw material, whether it's transportation costs. So just about everything we buy at the store has petroleum priced into it somewhere. And then directly, if you're paying less at the pump, you've got more money in your pocket. It's that simple. Most of us drive a relatively fixed amount of miles every week. So if gas prices are going up, more's coming out of your wallet. Conversely, if gas prices are going down, you're going to have more disposable income. So we should start to see that accumulate as we go further through the fourth quarter, and it really couldn't happen at a better time. I mean, really, we're just a few short weeks away from the holiday shopping season.
I was going to ask.
So people with more disposable income, they're going to do more holiday shopping. That's really going to be a nice tailwind for the economy as we move through the fourth quarter. So again, it's a trend that looks like it might continue. And if that does, then we should expect better than expected fourth quarter GDP and retail shopping numbers.
And it's still a little bit ways off, but as you said, we're getting close to the holidays. I know summer's a lot of time traveling. Do you think that's going to affect the holiday travel? You know, air versus driving somewhere?
It certainly could. When you look at the cost of the typical airline ticket, a good portion of that is due to jet fuel prices. So if we've got oil falling, if we have fuel prices falling, that could lead to lower costs there.
Great. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm going to take the savings that I have in gas, and I'm going to go play golf. Does that sound good to you?
That'll help everybody.
All right, great. Thanks for being here today. Peg, back to you.
All right, thanks, Jamie and Mike. Nice way to tie two segments together. Well, still to come on U.S. Bank Business Watch, move over the Rhine. What's going on in Walnut Hills? We'll talk about some major changes to one of the Cincinnati's oldest neighborhoods. And congratulations to Paul Basir, General Manager and co-founder of PredictionMachine.com. He is also an adjunct professor at the University of Cincinnati and co-founder and CEO of Basir Squared Consulting, another 40 under 40 honoree. In this morning's Business Insight, what's up in Walnut Hills? A couple weeks ago, we told you about the redevelopment of this long French-style building that sits on Madison Road near Woodburn, as well as the old bank on the same corner. Now comes word of Treverin Flats, a $9 million redevelopment of 3 buildings along East McMillan Street into 30 market-rate apartments and first-floor commercial space. Phase 1 is scheduled to start next month with the Model Group. Well, joining us this morning to talk about what's happening in Walnut Hills and why is Kevin Wright, Executive Director of the Walnut Hills Redevelopment Foundation. He joins Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith in the studio. Jamie and Kevin.
Kevin, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about this renaissance in Walnut Hills, especially around that DeSales corner. Why is it happening? What's going on up there?
Well, we're seeing a lot of interest and investment in DeSales Corner in East Walnut Hills, as well as People's Corner in Walnut Hills. People's Corner is the intersection of McMillan and Gilbert, for those that don't know, and DeSales Corner is the intersection of Madison and Woodburn.
Okay.
So 2 distinct neighborhoods with very distinct commercial corridors that are seeing growth. We think it has a lot to do with the growth of downtown and over the Rhine. We're kind of up in Walnut Hills, we're surrounded by Mount Adams, downtown, over the Rhine, uptown, and we're starting to see that investment kind of come up the hill. Our vision is to create 2 solid cores in those 2 commercial corridors, strengthen those, do mixed-use development, retail and residential, and connect them. So the long-term vision is a walkable corridor between 2 neighborhoods.
That sounds great. Now, you're talking about 2 different corners and 2 different neighborhoods. Does that add a lot to the equation? I mean, obviously it makes it a little harder, but your goal is obviously, as you said, is just to get that connection there.
Right. I think the challenges are creating 2 separate identities for the 2 neighborhoods, and each neighborhood has its own momentum. East Walnut Hills has seen a little bit more success over the last few years, so that's a different market in terms of residential rental prices and things like that. The scale of the buildings is much different as well. People's Corner in Walnut Hills used to be known as the city's second downtown. This was before I-71 was built, it was before the suburbs were built, and it was a huge commercial corridor. It was basically an outdoor shopping mall. We have a couple 100,000 square feet of retail up there, and we have a lot of vacancy. So that's going to look a little bit different than a smaller, tighter business district like DeSales Corner. And it'll be interesting to see the McMillan Quarter come back over the next few years, because we have these very large buildings that were once home to large retailers and entertainment destinations.
Well, that's great. Now the Flats project, you mentioned a little bit. There is how many apartment units there?
So Treverin Flats Phase 1 is on East McMillan, East McMillan and Kemper Lane. The Model Group's the developer. It's about a $9 million deal. It's going to be 30 market rate apartments and 8,000 square feet of retail. So we think we'll have 4 businesses on the first floor, hopefully an anchor restaurant on the corner.
Okay.
And yeah, 30 market rate apartments. I think the key with the development early on East McMillan it's going to be a valuable asset to the market because it's going to be fairly affordable compared to what we're seeing in rental prices, apartment rental prices in downtown.
In the downtown market. That's great. What is the timeline? What are we looking at? When's this getting started? And
well, the work on in East Walnut Hills on the sales corner of the French building that was mentioned it should be starting construction about the next week. That'll be about a 6-month turnaround. We're hoping to have an announcement about a retail tenant on the first floor of that building soon. Treveran Flats is going to start construction hopefully next month in November, and that'll be about a 10-month construction period.
Well, that's great. I can't wait to see it happen. You know, I work downtown. I live in the Clifton area, and just seeing the development from downtown over the Ryan, the Banks, now East Walnut Hills.
Absolutely.
It's just continuing to go all throughout the city.
Yeah, as Walnut Hills, Walnut Hills grows, the city grows.
Yeah.
I mean, that neighborhood starts moving forward. We're seeing real substantial growth citywide. I think it's an exciting time.
Well, that's great. Well, thanks for being on, and we'll have to have you back on to talk about the progress as the project develops.
That'd be great. Thanks.
All right, thanks for being here. Peg, back to you.
All right, thanks, Jamie and Kevin. It's great news. And thank you for joining us this morning for U.S. Bank Business Watch. We'll be back next Sunday and every Sunday morning at 6:30 here on Local 12 and 10 a.m. on the CW. For more business news all week long, visit the Business Courier online and sign up for daily emails and follow on Twitter and Facebook. The address is cincinnatibusinesscourier.com. I'm Peg Rasconi. Have a great Sunday.